Have you ever felt manipulated or emotionally drained by someone close to you? It's unsettling when the people we trust begin to feel like a source of stress rather than support. Sometimes, the people who harm us the most are those we allow into our most intimate spaces. Recognizing these toxic behaviors is vital to maintaining your emotional peace and personal growth. In today's video, we'll uncover 7 red flags that reveal the hidden intentions of manipulative individuals. These behaviors, often subtle at first, can slowly erode your confidence, distort your reality, and leave you doubting your own instincts. But here's the good news: once you learn how to spot these patterns, you can take back control and protect your well-being. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our boundaries. While we can't change the behavior of others, we can always choose how we respond. This ancient wisdom helps us stay calm and centered, even when faced with difficult people. Why is this important? Because protecting your peace is not selfish, it's essential. Imagine being able to confidently walk away from situations that drain your energy and surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you instead. Throughout this video, we'll break down each of these red flags and give you practical strategies to handle them. By the end, you'll have a deeper understanding of toxic patterns and how to respond with clarity and strength. So, take a deep breath, and let's begin this journey of self-awareness and protection. Your well-being is worth it. Let's begin with the first red flag: gaslighting. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious forms of emotional manipulation. It's when someone makes you doubt your own reality, memory, or perceptions. You might confront them with something you clearly remember, but they'll respond with phrases like, "You're being too sensitive," or "That never happened." Over time, this tactic chips away at your confidence and leaves you questioning your own sanity. Imagine Sarah, a young professional who had a friend constantly gaslighting her. Every time she voiced her concerns, her friend would twist the facts, making Sarah believe she was overreacting. As a result, Sarah became increasingly unsure of herself, doubting even her most basic decisions. It wasn't until she learned about gaslighting that she recognized the pattern and took steps to distance herself. Stoic philosophy teaches us to observe reality with clarity and objectivity. By trusting your instincts and observing patterns in someone's behavior, you can protect your mind from this kind of manipulation. Now, let's move to the second red flag: exploiting vulnerabilities. People who exploit vulnerabilities prey on your weaknesses and insecurities. These individuals dig deep into your past, not to understand or support you, but to weaponize your experiences. They'll twist your fears and doubts to gain control, leaving you feeling powerless and dependent. For example, imagine someone you trust bringing up your past mistakes repeatedly, not to help you grow, but to keep you in a constant state of guilt and submission. They use your vulnerabilities as leverage, making you feel like you owe them something or are forever defined by those moments. Here's where the wisdom of the Stoics comes in: you are not your past mistakes. Every experience is a lesson, not a chain. Recognizing when someone is exploiting your vulnerabilities is the first step in breaking free from their control. You can choose who has access to your story and who deserves your trust. Take a moment to reflect: has anyone in your life made you feel like your past defines you? If so, it's time to reclaim your narrative and set boundaries. Protecting your inner peace is not selfish, it's essential. Red flag 3: lying and manipulating the truth. Lying and manipulating the truth is one of the most common tactics used by toxic individuals. They twist facts, exaggerate details, and create narratives that suit their agenda. These people are not interested in honesty or clarity. Instead, they use lies to control how others perceive reality and to keep you confused and dependent on them. A clear example is when someone constantly denies their own actions despite undeniable evidence. You catch them in a lie, but instead of admitting it, they distort the conversation, turning the focus back onto you. They might say things like, "I never said that," or "You're imagining things." Their goal is not only to avoid accountability but also to make you doubt your own judgment. In situations like these, Stoic philosophy encourages us to focus on objectivity. Observe actions rather than words. The truth always reveals itself through patterns, not promises. Don't waste your energy trying to convince someone who has no respect for truth. Instead, walk away from manipulation and protect your inner peace. Red flag 4, thriving on conflict. Some people thrive on conflict. For them, drama and chaos are tools for control. They create conflict, pit people against each other, and feed on the emotional reactions of others. These individuals seek power through division and confusion. Imagine a colleague at work who constantly stirs up tension among team members. Instead of resolving issues, they escalate them, creating an atmosphere of distrust and instability. Why? Because chaos keeps them at the center of attention and gives them leverage over others. The wisdom of Stoicism tells us that peace is our strongest weapon. When you encounter someone who thrives on conflict, don't engage emotionally. Step back, take a deep breath, and focus on your response rather than their behavior. You cannot control their actions, but you can control how much access they have to your energy and emotions. Here's a practical technique: visualize yourself as a mountain during a storm. The wind may howl, and the rain may fall, but the mountain remains steady and unshaken. When someone tries to provoke you, ground yourself in this imagery. Let their words pass by like a storm, temporary and powerless to change who you are. Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever been drawn into unnecessary conflict with someone who seemed to enjoy it? If so, how did it affect your peace of mind? Remember, not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes, the best response is silence and self-preservation. Red flag 5, playing the victim. One of the most manipulative tactics used by toxic individuals is playing the victim. These people constantly frame themselves as the helpless victim of every situation, placing blame on others and refusing to take responsibility for their actions. By portraying themselves this way, they manipulate your emotions, making you feel guilty, responsible for their problems, and obligated to help them, often at the cost of your own well-being. Let's break it down with a real-life example. Imagine you have a friend who always blames others for their failures, whether it's about work, relationships, or finances. Whenever you offer constructive advice, they respond with phrases like, "You just don't understand what I've been through," or "It's not my fault. The world is against me." Slowly, they make you feel guilty for not being more supportive, and before you know it, you're bending over backward to solve their problems. The Stoic perspective offers a valuable insight here. It teaches us that we cannot control how others behave, but we can control how much emotional investment we give them. Stoicism encourages us to observe situations objectively. Ask yourself, is this person genuinely in need of help, or are they using their victim narrative to manipulate you? Here's a practical technique: when someone plays the victim, set emotional boundaries. Offer support, but avoid enabling their behavior. A simple response like, "I'm here to listen, but you're the only one who can change your situation," can help them realize that their growth depends on them, not on your constant rescue. Personal story. I once had a colleague who was a master at playing the victim. Every mistake they made was blamed on someone else, never their own responsibility. At first, I felt sorry for them and spent countless hours helping them fix their problems. But over time, I noticed a pattern: no matter how much help they received, nothing ever changed. Why? Because they weren't interested in solutions. They thrived on sympathy and attention. Once I recognized this, I took a step back. I stopped offering endless help and started focusing on my own boundaries. The result? My peace of mind returned almost immediately. This experience taught me a valuable lesson: true victims seek solutions. Manipulative ones seek control. If you find yourself constantly drained by someone's victim narrative, remember, it's okay to care, but it's not your job to fix them. Reflection exercise. Think of someone in your life who often plays the victim. Ask yourself, are they genuinely seeking help, or are they trying to gain control through guilt? How has your involvement affected your emotional state? Stoicism reminds us to prioritize our inner peace. When you let go of the need to save others, you create space for authentic connections and personal growth. Red flag 6, constant criticism. One of the most toxic behaviors to watch out for is constant criticism. These individuals never seem to acknowledge your achievements or efforts. Instead, they focus solely on your flaws and mistakes, keeping you in a constant state of self-doubt. The worst part? Their criticism is rarely constructive, it's designed to tear you down and keep you dependent on their approval. At first, it might seem like they're trying to help you improve, but over time, you realize that nothing is ever good enough for them. Whether it's your career, relationships, or personal choices, they always find something to criticize. Here's the key: constant criticism is a form of control. It chips away at your confidence and makes you question your abilities. The more you seek their approval, the more power they gain over you. Example. Let's say you work tirelessly on a project and finally achieve a major milestone. Instead of congratulating you, this person says, "Well, it's about time. You should have done it months ago." Or perhaps you receive a promotion at work, and their response is, "Don't get too excited. You'll probably mess it up anyway." Notice how these comments aren't meant to inspire or encourage. They're carefully crafted to undermine your self-worth. Over time, such criticism can drain your motivation and make you dependent on external validation. Stoic philosophy offers a powerful remedy. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It never ceases to amaze me, we all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." This is where you must take control. You must learn to trust your own judgment and stop relying on others for validation. Practical tips for overcoming constant criticism. Build internal confidence. Start by recognizing your own accomplishments. Keep a journal and write down 3 things you're proud of every day. This simple habit will help you focus on your progress instead of others' opinions. Set boundaries. When someone criticizes you, ask yourself, is this feedback constructive, or is it meant to control me? If it's not helpful, don't engage. Politely distance yourself from their negativity. Affirm your own worth. Develop a mantra like, "I am worthy, and I trust my journey," and repeat it to yourself whenever doubt creeps in. Personal story. I once had a mentor who constantly criticized my work. No matter how much effort I put in, they always found something wrong. At first, I thought they were pushing me to be better. But eventually, I realized that their words were holding me back, not lifting me up. Once I stopped seeking their approval and trusted my own instincts, my confidence grew, and so did my success. Remember, constructive feedback helps you grow, but constant criticism only keeps you stuck. You don't need anyone's approval to move forward. Trust yourself, celebrate your progress, and let go of those who refuse to acknowledge your worth. Red flag 7, lack of empathy. A lack of empathy is one of the most dangerous traits in any relationship. When someone is unable, or unwilling, to understand your feelings, it creates a toxic environment that leaves you emotionally drained and unsupported. People who lack empathy will often dismiss your struggles, minimize your emotions, or act indifferent to your pain. At first, their indifference may seem subtle, a missed opportunity to comfort you, a joke made at the wrong time. But as time goes on, it becomes clear that they have no real concern for your well-being. Their focus is solely on their own needs and desires. Example. Imagine sharing a difficult experience with someone, hoping for some comfort or understanding. Instead, they respond with something like, "Well, everyone has problems," or "You're just being too sensitive." Instead of empathy, you get dismissal or even criticism. The danger lies in how this lack of empathy erodes your self-worth. You may start to believe that your emotions don't matter or that you're overreacting. Over time, this can lead to isolation and self-doubt. Stoic principle, protecting your emotional boundaries. The Stoic approach to dealing with such individuals is to focus on what you can control, your response and emotional boundaries. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When faced with someone who lacks empathy, your goal is not to change them but to protect your own peace. You cannot control how others treat you, but you can control how you react. Practical tips for handling people who lack empathy. Recognize the pattern, pay attention to how they respond to your emotions. If it's a consistent pattern of dismissal, take it as a warning sign. Set clear boundaries, politely but firmly communicate your limits. For example, say, "I'm not comfortable discussing this with you if you're not going to be supportive." Prioritize self-care, surround yourself with people who uplift and support you. Spend less time with those who leave you feeling worse. Personal story. I once had a close friend who seemed supportive at first but always dismissed my feelings when I was going through tough times. Every time I reached out, I felt worse, not better. Once I recognized the pattern, I set boundaries and limited my interactions. It was difficult at first, but eventually, I found peace and realized how much lighter I felt without that negativity. Remember, you don't need everyone to understand you or share your emotions. What truly matters is protecting your well-being and staying true to your emotional needs. We've covered 7 red flags that reveal toxic or manipulative people, and now it's time to reflect. Recognizing these behaviors isn't just about avoiding harmful individuals, it's about protecting your emotional well-being and creating space for healthy, uplifting relationships. Remember, gaslighting, constant criticism, and lack of empathy can slowly erode your self-worth if you don't recognize them in time. Manipulators thrive on confusion and doubt, so your best defense is clarity and strong boundaries. Stoic wisdom teaches us that we can't control how others act, but we can control how we respond. By staying grounded in your values and protecting your peace, you'll be able to navigate relationships with strength and clarity. Example. I once had a colleague who constantly criticized my work but never offered constructive feedback. At first, I doubted myself, but when I recognized the pattern, I set boundaries and refused to seek their approval. It was liberating. The truth is, you deserve relationships that nurture and support your growth. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your victories and stand by you in tough times. Let go of relationships that weigh you down. Which red flag resonated with you the most? Have you experienced these signs in your life? Share your story in the comments below and inspire others to protect their peace. Together, we can build stronger, healthier connections.